Hello, everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to All-Star Break for Season 3 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the first of two events today for All-Star Break. It is the All-Star Open, which is going to be 15 laps of racing with 24 drivers who didn't make the All-Star race itself, whether they didn't win a race last season or this season or got the fan vote. And for those who are wondering who won the fan vote, it was none other than DJ Curtis, who won by one vote over Kyle Matthews at the end of the day with the poll. So DJ Curtis automatically advances to the All-Star race. He gets to skip over the All-Star Open. But basically with the All-Star Open right here, basically the rules of the All-Star Open, the top 5 drivers that finish will transfer over to the All-Star race itself. So whoever gets in the top 5 automatically advances. But let's look at the starting lineup. So Zachary Fitzwater managed to get the pole for the Open. Starting next to him is Matt Haas. Row 2 is Sean Galligan, Tim Fiegel. Row 3, Jay Jefferson, Jake Rogers. Row 4, James Shelley, Dougie Shears. Row 5, Preston Blord, Paul Minnick. Row 6, William Brock, PJ Williams. Row 7, Anthony McCrory, Kyle Matthews. Row 8, Matt McIntyre, Charles Jackson. Row 9, James McLeod, Jake Baskinger. Row 10, Trent Dunham, Benjamin Miles. Row 11, Tim Walsh and Zach Flickinger. And then row 12, Seth Cole and Kyle Keith. But with that said, let's get the command to fire engines for the All-Star Open here at Dragonett Superspeedway.
Is this on? Drivers, start your engines!
The worst command of all time. That's what that was right there. But with that out of the way, the cars are rolling for their one pace lap around this racetrack. Now, with Dragonett Superspeedway, it's a very unique restrictor play racetrack where they go extra fast. They get more closer together. 4 wide, even 5 wide is okay. 6 wide is not recommended at this racetrack whatsoever. But we could see a lot of different strategies go on in this race, especially since they may have to pit at least once in this race in order to make it on gas for the entire way through. Whereas in the All-Star race itself, the laps are doubled. So this is 15 laps, but the All-Star race itself will be 30 laps. So the intensity will get increased in the actual All-Star race itself. But in the Open, with a lot of these drivers who are hungry to get into that All-Star race to get a potential guaranteed ride for Season 4, in which, well, actually not a guaranteed ride for Season 4, never mind that. I just messed myself up on that since we had the sign-ups yesterday, and I just had a brain fart. Well, the sign-ups were today when I recorded, so yeah. I'm recording this race on December 28th, and this race is out on December 29th, so never mind with that. Perhaps a guaranteed ride for Season 5. I think that's how we're going to do it. So there you have it. But the pace car is in pit road, which means it's time to boogity, 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 go racing. Well, it was Sean Galligan who led lap number 1, and he has Matt Haas on his back bumper right now. As the top 4 or so kind of have a bit of a gap that separates them from Jake Rogers, but then again, everybody that's up here is still going to be able to race up there to try to get the lead, as everyone is still in the pack. Even the 4 of Zach Flickinger is still in there, even though he has a bit of a gap that separates him from the 42. But look at this, 4 wide for quite a few rows. As long as they don't lean, they can make it work. 5 wide will be a little bit more tricky, but they would be able to make that work. It's 6 wide that I would not want to see happen. But anyways, Galligan still has the lead, but now underneath for second is Jay Jefferson. So currently the 5 who would transfer right now would be Galligan, Jefferson, Rogers, Haas, and now William Brock is now up here into the picture. As Jake Rogers and Matt Haas are 2 out of 3 Furniture Row racing cars that are in this race. The third one, James Shelley, I see towards the back of the pack. As the other 2 guys, Dylan Jacobs and Joshua Sakuli, have already transferred into the All-Star race via either winning from last season or this season. As meanwhile, up here at the front, Jake Rogers has the race lead for the time being. As right behind him is Tim Fiegel, but here comes Seth Cole in the 98. Seth Cole, shockingly, as far as not winning a race, he didn't get to win last season. And so far this season, he hasn't had the best of luck. Oh, there's some leaning between Trent Dunham and Benjamin Miles. It looks like they backed off each other, so we almost had a wreck, but they managed to settle it out, so that was good. I think that was a result of almost going 5 wide right there as well. But Jake Rogers has the lead, but now Seth Cole's got the run. Looking around the field, and pretty much everyone's still together in the pack, though there is a little separation between Zach Flickinger and James Shelley. But if Shelley stays up high and then comes down low in front of the 4, they may be able to reel in the rest of the pack again. It looks like they already are, so good on those guys. Oh, and we got a crash! Big multi-car accident. At least 6-7 cars involved. William Brock was in it. The 42 of Keith was in it. McLeod in a brand new Amazon paint scheme was involved. The 40 of Preston Plord got a piece of it. Same with the 8 of Tim Fiegel. And the caution is out for the first time today here in All-Star Break at Dragonett. And the leader at the line was Jake Baskinger in the 18. So with that said, now that we're under caution, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of what did bring out the caution here. Oh, I thought they were running into each other. I thought I saw cars get airborne, but no, that's just a bump, a hill bump. But anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at a replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Dragonett Superspeedway for All-Star Break. Well, here's a look at what happened. So watch the 8 of Tim Fiegel and Trent Dunham in the 1. It looked like they were trying to work together, but it just looks like Trent Dunham gets Tim Fiegel in that left side, trying to push him, and then they come back down into the 5 of Jay Jefferson and James McLeod, and then they come up into Matt Haas, William Brock, Preston Plord, Kyle Keith. So not as many cars as I initially thought, so that was only about a good 6 cars that got heavy damage, or any damage at all, maybe 7. But yeah, as you watch here, yeah, Trent Dunham's trying to push his teammate up there, but just gets him into that left side and just turned him around. And that is a driver judgment right there, to try to do their best whenever they try and push each other to not hit anyone in that left side. If you're going to try and push someone, try and pushing them more towards the right side. But the left side seems to be the big trouble part of the bumper whenever they're trying to bump draft and push each other. So that was just bump drafting gone wrong right there. But luckily, I don't think anybody received like major damage. I don't know if anybody's going to retire out of the race or not. We'll find out here in just a moment, as we're going to go ahead and take you to the restart here in the All-Star Open at Dragonett. Well, I guess there's one car that decided to put the car over the wall and retire from the race, and that was Matt Haas. So unfortunately, Matt Haas's chances of making the All-Star race have been cut short due to that wreck. But everybody, I think, did pit under that caution, and some strategy going on to try and make it to the rest of the way. So we have a brand new leader, and that is Seth Cole in the 98. He's the leader. Second is Benjamin Miles. Third is Charles Jackson. Fourth is Tim Walsh. Fifth, Kyle Keith. Sixth is Zach Flickinger. Seventh, Sean Galligan. Eighth, Anthony McCrory. Ninth, James McLeod. And then 10th is Jay Jefferson. 11th is Trent Dunham. 12th is Dougie Shears. 13th is Paul Minnick. 14th, Matt McIntyre. 15th, is Jake Baskinger. 16th, Zachary Fitzwater. 17th, PJ Williams. 18th, Kyle Matthews. 19th, Jake Rogers. 40th, Preston Plord. And then, or not 40th, 20th. 21st, James Shelley. 22nd is Tim Fiegel. And then 23rd is William Brock. So 23 out of 24 cars still on track. I got a feeling, though, that maybe the 51 might be a tad bit slow. But let's look at his car and see if there was much damage done. And it looks like, yeah, the right side and the rear end are a little bit damaged. But we're actually going to stay with the 51 on this restart to watch him and see how far off the pace he might end up being. And it looks like he is going to be quite off the pace slightly. Because now, well, then again, I think he may have just not gotten going, but we'll see. As he's already about to get bypassed 3 wide up top. Now, it looks like the one car that's definitely off the pace is the 01 of William Brock and maybe Tim Fiegel as well. McLeod is a little bit questionable. But everyone else seems okay that was in that wreck. But we have a new leader, and that's Benjamin Miles. And when we come to the line, it'll be 5 laps to go here in the Open. So there's still plenty of time for a lot of drivers to try and work their way up to the front of the field. But remember, it's the top 5. Whoever finishes top 5 transferred to the All-Star race. So that will expand the field from 26 to 31 cars in that race. Right now, those 5 would be Miles, Keith, Flickinger, Jackson, and right now it's a battle between McCrory and Galligan and Seth Cole for that 5th spot. But it looks like McCrory takes the position for the time being, as Benjamin Miles has a bit of a gap separating himself from the rest of the pack, which isn't a good thing because those guys behind the 55 are easily going to reel in the 55 very, very soon to make a go on a run for his money for that top spot on the racetrack. But yes, as a reminder, the winner of the All-Star race itself will get a guaranteed ride for Season 5 of the Marvel Studios Cup Series. Only reason why we're not doing Season 4 is because the lineup has already been set for Season 4. Right now, Miles has the advantage right now, and then Flickinger. So these two are trying to run away for sure with the top 2, but the rest of the top 5 is about to be under a large battle with numerous cars. Right now, those 5 at the line would be Fitzwater, Matthews, and McIntyre, but Baskinger has now found his way back up here in the mix, as it's 4 wide. Or it was 4 wide, now it's settled to 3 wide. As things are starting to get quite racy up here. And it looked like Paul Minnick, he just lost a draft from being stuck behind a couple of the slower cars, so that cost the 9 a shot of making the All-Star race. So tough break for the 9 of Paul Minnick, but right now Miles still hanging on up at the front, but Matthews is not too far behind. Same with Baskinger, Flickinger, and Fitzwater, but Matt McIntyre's got that bottom, but he doesn't have any drafting help. As it's under 2 laps to go here in the All-Star Open, so time's starting to run out for a lot of these drivers to try to get into the top 5 to transfer over. Miles has that top spot right now, but here comes Matthews with the run to the inside to try and take the lead away. Interesting strategy on the part of the 09, trying to get up to the front to make sure he gets in. Looks like the top 4 have sort of broken away from everyone else, and the white flag is out. Right now, that final transfer spot is Charles Jackson, but he's got James Shelley in there, and now Baskinger's about to get passed. Anything's still possible, and it's 3 wide for the lead. Fitzwater trying to take over that spot. Jackson right behind him. Man, it's going to get really interesting here off of turn 4. As now we're into 3, and it's another fight for the lead. As here comes the 00 of Charles Jackson. Man, it is super close with these cars. Man, it's going to be hard to tell who's going to make it and who's going to not make it. Oh, man, it's down to the wire. Checkered flag is about to wave. Charles Jackson wins the All-Star Open, and it was hard to tell who got the rest of the spots. Oh, and now they just got finalized. So the other drivers joining Charles Jackson will be Zach Flickinger, Dougie Shears, who came out of nowhere, Zachary Fitzwater, and then just barely making it was James Shelley in the 71. Close battle at the end, with pretty much everyone up here in the top 18 or so. It was very close. And man, close finish for that 5th spot between 3 cars. But the guys who made it in, Jackson, Flickinger, Shears, Fitzwater, and Shelley. So they will be the ones that are going to transfer over to the All-Star race, which will be coming up very, very shortly. But let's look at the rest of the results. Kyle Keith came so close despite being in that first wreck. He comes through in the 6th position. Kyle Matthews thought he had it locked up, but man, some guys just came in out of nowhere at the end. Matt McIntyre fails to make it in 8th, same with Trent Dunham in 9th, and then Benjamin Miles 10th. And the rest of the top 20 was Jake Baskinger, Sean Galligan, Anthony McCurry, PJ Williams, Jake Rogers, Seth Cole, Tim Walsh, Jay Jefferson, Preston Plord, Paul Minnick, then Tim Fiegel, James McLeod, and then William Brock. And then only 1 car out of the race from that only caution was Matt Haas. Well, that's the All-Star Open. Stick around as you will see the final results on your screen here in just a second. After those are shown, it's time for the All-Star race itself. Welcome back, everyone, and we are arriving now at the actual All-Star race itself. So, differences as far as the Open goes compared to the All-Star race. There is a bigger field, and the laps are doubled. So we're doing 30 laps here at Dragonett for the All-Star race itself. So this is going to be very, very crazy to watch. So with that said, let's take a look at the lineup. Jessica Sheldon going to be on the pole for the All-Star race. Starting next to her will be Carson Gum. Row 2 is JT Bryant, Johnny Gardner. Row 3, James Shelley, James Qualls. Row 4, Dylan Young, Andrew Rich. Row 5, Ashlyn Boyd, Chris Michaels. Row 6, Dorian Facepuncher, Zach Flickinger. Row 7, Dylan Poteet, David Rivera. Row 8, Joshua Collard, Chris Dollerton. Row 9, Zachary Fitzwater, Mark Lane. Row 10, Phil Parker, Austin LaPlante. Row 11, Dougie Shears, Charles Sanford. Row 12, Joshua Sekuli, Jonathan Zorling. Row 13, the 2 rivalry buddies, Dylan Jacobs and Rafael Leduc. Um, crap, now I just lost it. Oh yeah, row 14, DJ Curtis, the fan vote winner, and Pichu London. Row 15 is Charles Jackson, Dylan Thoreau, and then starting last in row 16 is Emmanuel Hartnett. But it doesn't matter where you start, it's all about where you finish. But let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the All-Star race at Dragonett, and hopefully the command is better this time.
Drivers, start your engines!
That was much more enthusiastic and more professional than the other one we had in the Open. But yeah, a lot of cars in this field running either retro or all-star paint schemes. Jessica Sheldon actually debuting a brand new paint scheme this season, the Sun Energy 1 car. Carson Gum running a Tony Stewart retro number 19 Eras car. JT Bryant in the Golden Pennzoil car. James Qualls in the Castrol GTX car, Dylan Young in the Miller Genuine Draft Machine, and then of course Ashwin Boyd and Zachary Fitzwater both running the Dodge Dealers Dodge. As far as any others I can find that are either retro or all-star, Austin LaPlante running the Yellow 48 for this race. Dylan Jacobs running his Kamikaze Games paint scheme for this race. Jonathan Zorline running the 88 Budweiser car. Rafael Leduc in a very unusual paint scheme running a UPS car for this race. Go to helicopter cam, and I see the last couple, Dylan Thoreau running a 2006 retro FedEx Express car, and then Emmanuel Hartnett in the Tide retro paint scheme. This is the one time of the season when retro paint schemes are in vogue. But, like I said once again, or I'll say it once again, Dragonett Superspeedway, very, very fast restrictor plate oval. 3 wide is good, 4 wide can be good, 5 wide if you can make it stick, 6 wide, absolutely not. But the green flag is waving, boogity, 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 let's go racing. Close at the line, but Jessica Sheldon led that first lap. But JT Bryant's going to have the run on the inside to go for the lead for himself. And already I see quite a few drivers who were started at the back are already up here. I see Dylan Jacobs in the tail end of this inside line that's up here at the front. And a lot of other drivers trying to get into a proper formation here. A couple cars straggling a little bit, but they are still in the pack technically. Pichu London and Charles Jackson. Jackson was the All-Star Open winner, as it's basically 3 to 4 wide everywhere. And Poteet is in the danger spot, being in the 1 to 2 middle cars, but with no drafting help. As man, things are getting pretty dicey pretty early here at in the All-Star race. There were 2 different 4-wide scenarios. There's still one that's going on. Joshua Sekuli, one of the middle guys, but he's got Dollarton now. Gonna try and give him a push up through this frenzy. I don't know, I better stay back here with this. Oh man, I thought they were gonna go 5 wide. That would have been crazy. But yeah, the only car that's not Totally up here in the pack is Charles Jackson. Let's see the speed difference. Only about 1 mile per hour. If some of those outside line guys move down low in front of the double zero will still have a shot to work his way up through the field. And oh, they were nearly 5 wide right there. JT Bryant thought about going underneath James Shelley, but decided against that. Excuse me. As, yeah, like I said, things are getting really, really racy really early, as it's now 4 wide for about 3 to 4 rows deep. And oh man, I think they're going for it. 5 wide, and I knew it wasn't going to work. Oh, and a crash. Hard hit for Andrew Rich. Dylan Jacobs in it. Dylan Young, Austin LaPlante. Hard hits in that wreck, and the caution immediately out. Caution out for a 4 to 5 car accident in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And Andrew Rich just ran into more trouble. I think he hit the pit wall trying to get in the pit road, and I think he was going too fast. But, man, that was insanity. 5 wide. I kind of had a suspicion maybe 5 wide wasn't going to work out properly, and sure enough, it didn't. Yeah, Andrew Rich immediately went into pit road. Dylan Jacobs still hanging out on track. He's got a little buckle on the front end. I don't know how severe that will be to his engine, but we'll find out when we get back to green. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay and see what brought the caution out for the first time today in the All-Star race at Dragonett. Well, here's a look at it. I kind of figured when they tried to go 5 wide, it wasn't going to work, and the 6 of David Rivera just was the meat and the sandwich between Joshua Collard and Dylan Young. And Collard and Phil Parker managed to save it, but and Zachary Fitzwater, I forgot, was involved, and he actually hit the outside wall pretty hard on the right side. I don't know if that's going to really affect him performance-wise, but watch the 56 of Andrew Rich. After he gets up into Austin LaPlante, he gets turned again and almost directly head-on into that outside concrete wall. So that was hard contact for the 56. Let's see how fast he was going whenever he hit the outside concrete wall. 170 miles an hour, roughly, and Dylan Jacobs hit the outside wall pretty good as well on the right rear quarter panel. Dylan Young took a major hit in there, too. Austin LaPlante as well. So, yeah, it was primarily 5 cars that got damaged, and they were the 2, the 56, the 48, 78, and 91. But the 56, I think, for sure is done for today. But with that said, let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Dragonett for the All-Star race. Well, 2 cars definitely done for today, and they are Dylan Young and Andrew Rich. So both of those cars have officially had too much damage to continue on, especially that 56. So we're down to 29 cars in the field, and some pit strategy went on. Some cars either stayed out or took 2 tires and gas, while everyone else either pitted or pitted with 4 tires. So some strategy going on. But yeah, Dylan Thoreau is right now your race leader. 2nd is Emmanuel Hartnett. 3rd is Rafael Leduc. 4th is Jonathan Zorline. 5th, DJ Curtis. 6th is Zach Flickinger. 7th, Ashlyn Boyd. 8th, Joshua Collard. 9th, Charles Sanford. 10th, Phil Parker. 11th is Pichu London. 12th is Mark Lane. 13th is David Rivera. 14th, Dougie Shears. 15th, Charles Jackson. 16th is Joshua Sekuli. 17th, Johnny Gardner. 18th, James Qualls. 19th, Dorian Facepuncher. 20th is Dylan Poteet. 21st is James Shelley. 22nd is Chris Dollarton. 23rd, Jessica Shelton. 24th is Dylan Jacobs. 25th, JT Bryant. 26th, Chris Michaels. 27th, Carson Gum. 28th, Austin LaPlante. And then 29th is Zachary Fitzwater. So that was the lineup for this restart as the pace cars pulled in the pit road. And now we are getting set to go back to racing, and it's 22 to go here in the All-Star race. Still plenty of time for good racing as well as pit strategy, because I got a feeling they will have to pit at least one more time. And now 3 wide for the lead, and Rafael LeDuc is going to zip past the 2 Gibbs cars. And now Jonathan Zorline in that Budweiser Retro. He's trying to go for second underneath of the 20 of Emmanuel Hartnett. Excuse me. But right now it is the 99 of Rafael LeDuc. Right now the highest running Ford, but now he's got 2 more Fords about to come up from behind. 2 of them are Stewart-Haas cars. Zach Flickinger, DJ Curtis, and the 3rd Stewart-Haas car, Mark Lane, is actually up here in the top 10 as well. And then another Ford, David Rivera, LeDuc's teammate, is up here. And now we have a new leader, Zach Flickinger, in the 4. Joshua Collard now underneath for second, underneath of the 14 of DJ Curtis. Dylan Thoreau finally gets to the bottom and is trying to go for the move for the 3rd spot, but David Rivera is going to enter into it, but didn't quite get in there quick enough to make it properly 3 wide for the spot. Johnny Gardner trying to help out that bottom lane as well, and now Charles Sanford moves to the bottom. Charles Sanford running the Reese's Pieces car for this race. And for those who are wondering, when will the next points race be taking place? Points racing will return this Monday, and it's going to be the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and that's going to be quite interesting to say the least. Right now, Flickinger still has that top spot, but Gardner trying to get clear of everyone else for second, as it's 4 wide behind them for the 3rd spot. Oh, Rivera and Sanford nearly got together. But somehow, someway, they keep it together. Looking around to see who's all off the pace, and the one that's for sure off the pace is the 48 of Austin LaPlante. Dylan Jacobs slightly. Looks like Fitzwater and JT Bryant either are off the pace or just lost the draft. I think it was a case of losing the draft. Ashland Boyd's starting to lose the pack as well. But as we look on, we got a new leader, and that's the 7 of Johnny Gardner in that Interstate Batteries paint scheme. Next season, Gardner will be moving away from Seth Cole Motorsports over to Stewart-Haas to run the 41 car, and his future, and one of a potential future teammate, Zach Flickinger, goes by. That is if Flickinger, because at the time of recording this, the sign-ups haven't happened yet, but if Flickinger, before I get done recording, does get the 4, then they would be teammates. But anyways, the pole sitter, Jessica Shelton's finally coming back up here to the front. We haven't seen her up here since the beginning of the race. Now she's found her way up here in the mix once again. Dylan Poteet, who we haven't talked about all race, he's up here. And then Pichu London, who earlier almost lost the pack up until that caution came out. Now he's up here into the picture. Chris Dollarton in the 23 is in here. James Shelley. Chris Michaels, who was towards dead last in the field, is now up here. I guess he somehow found a way to get around a couple of the slower cars. Same with Carson Gum in the 19. And I think I saw Carson Gum at the tail end of this pack about 2 laps ago, and now he's up here towards the front of the pack. Second car in line on the bottom behind David Rivera. But Flickinger takes that spot back up at the front. As I'm looking around to see where the 4 and the 48 are in comparison to one another, to see when will they catch the 48. And right now the 48's in the middle of the back stretch, about to enter turn 3. Everybody else are about to exit turn 2 momentarily. Excuse me. But when we come to the line, it will be the halfway point of this race, and drivers have got to start thinking about, if this race stays green the rest of the way, when are they going to try and come into pit road? 3 wide for second, Pichu London, Carson Gum, and Raphael Leduc. Leduc trying to work his way back up to the front where he was about 6 laps ago. DJ Curtis, who was the leader at the caution when it came out, he's trying to enter back up to the front. As Flickinger's kind of enjoying this, watching everyone else race hard behind him while he has the lead for now. But then again, he's a sitting duck up there. Excuse me. And everyone else is starting to reel in the 4 a little bit, as it's 4 wide for several rows in the middle of the pack. Which is fine, as long as they don't lean or go 5 wide like we saw earlier. They will be able to make this work, as this is just crazy racing up here. Absolutely crazy. As right now it's Stuart Haas 1, 2, 3 kind of. Mark Lane technically is 3rd, but he's got a couple cars underneath of him trying to take that spot away. But currently it is 1, 2, 3 Stuart Haas cars. Flickinger, Curtis, and Mark Lane. And Mark Lane definitely solidifies that. Pulls out of the high line to get towards the middle and then eventually to the bottom. But it looks like... oh, never mind. Austin LaPlante pulling into pit road. I thought they were going to get to Austin LaPlante and they were going to have some problems. But maybe some green flag pit stops are about to happen. And actually they are happening. Quite a few cars are pulling into pit road. So, I believe if they pit here in just a couple laps, that might be good enough for everyone to make it on gas the rest of the way. Then again, it may come down to 1 to 2 to go if they have to pit again. But, yeah, some strategy about to come into play. Flickinger still hangs on to the top spot. It's right now, it's Stuart Haas versus Furniture Row in the top 5. 2 Furniture Row guys, 3 Stuart Haas guys up here at the front. But now that's changing as more cars are electing to come to pit road. Flickinger sacrifices the lead and hands it over to teammate Mark Lane. Sekuli stays out. Same with Gardner, Qualls, Sanford, Rivera, and Carson Gum. So I think the guys running in the top 7 right now are the only ones to have not come to pit road yet. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen as far as who's going to cycle around as the leader. But right now, Mark Lane in that Oreo Ritz car is your leader, but he's starting to slow down as he's getting ready to come into pit road. There you see a lot of drivers from that third big group of cars that elected to come in, finishing up their stops. And right now it's still being scored, the 41 still being scored as the leader, but I don't know if he is the actual leader right now. As we're watching the 41, he's going with 4 tires and gas. I think that's the case for everyone right now. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure as to who the leader is going to be, as the field is so scattered now as a result of these pit stops. But you got to wonder if anybody's going to reel into a big pack or not. And now Austin LaPlante is pretty much within the same wavelength as everyone in the field, so anyone who gets stuck behind the 48 is going to not be too happy. And yeah, like I said, it is really hard to tell who the leader is. It's pretty much all over the track. The field is scattered everywhere. So I don't know if the 41 is your leader. It could be the 4, it could be the 00. I got no idea. We'll wait until we get across the line to get the official scoring of who is officially your top dog right now in the field. And I guess according to scoring, it is Emmanuel Hartnett with the lead of nearly 3 seconds over this little group of cars, led by Joshua Sekuli for the time being. But yeah, right now with 10 laps to go, Emmanuel Hartnett is a sitting duck running by himself, as there is about 6 cars in a little group that is not really working together all that well. But you gotta wonder, if it stays green, can they catch the 20 in time? That is the question. Let's see the margin. Well, that pack cut a half a second off of that lead. So if they keep on cutting a half a second off of the lead, then they will be able to get up there to the front. And then this pack has a 4 second or a 3.5 second separation over Jessica Sheldon and Charles Sanford. And then Pichu London's sort of the middleman between the two in front of him and then the main 4 behind him to make it a 7-car pack potentially. And then it's another 5.5 seconds that separates the 88 from the 7. So yeah, the field got very much scattered as a result. As I just screwed up there, I meant to go to the V key. But yeah, now that we're trying to get back up to the front, and yes, everyone in that 6-car pack in no time has caught the 20. And now we're going to have a new leader here in just a moment, and that is DJ Curtis. So now it looks like this race is going to come down, unless a caution were to come out again, it's going to come down to one of these top 7 because of the pit stops. But then again, they may have to pit one more time depending on the fuel window. I wasn't too sure what the fuel window was. Looking at a couple things right there, but right now Charles Jackson, he's trying to go for the sweep, win the Open and the All-Star race. Trying to go for that sweep. But now Curtis, DJ Curtis, the Fanvo winner, is now underneath. And now DJ Curtis is actually, I think, trying to go for history to be the first person in the history of the Marvel Studios Cup Series to win the All-Star race by entering in as a fan vote. There's a couple things with the All-Star race we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen anybody pull the sweep, winning the Open and the All-Star race, and we haven't seen a fan vote winner win the All-Star race either. So DJ Curtis and Charles Jackson are 2 guys up here trying to make history, but Dougie Shears is now to the front with help from Emmanuel Hartnett. But yeah, like I said, this race is going to pretty much come down to this group of 7 cars, unless, like I said, a caution were to come out. But then again, they could be short on gas by a lap or 2. It depends on if there is a shorter fuel window than I initially realized. But we're coming to 5 to go at the line here. It is now 5 laps to go here in the All-Star race at Dragonett. Manufacturer reveals right now up here in this group. Pretty much no Chevys are up here. No Chevys up here. We got looks like 3 Toyotas, 3 Fords, and 1 Dodge. No Chevys up here. Right now, the highest running Chevy is Jonathan Zorling in the 8th position, and he's a good 5.5 seconds behind the leader. Although this group of 6 cars have a better formation going. 2 lines of 3 cars. And according to lap times, they are a little bit faster than the lead pack, but I don't think they're going to be able to catch up to the leaders in time. But then again, they're going to approach the 78 of Dylan Jacobs. Dylan Jacobs, who is a little bit off the pace after getting involved in the only caution of this race, and now he's holding up quite a few cars. So this is going to cause a little... oh, and the caution is out! Caution is out, and it's for the 62 of Dorian Facepuncher and the 41 of James Shelley. I don't know if they're going to be able to get back to the racing or not in time. I don't think that's going to happen, so I think the race may have just ended under caution, and Jackson led at the line. The race might have just ended under caution because of that. And it looked like the accident happened right here in turns 1 and 2. But man, Jackson might have made history. We'll see, but we're going to go ahead and real quick take a look and see what brought the caution out for the second time here in the All-Star race at Dragonett. Well, here's where the wreck starts. The 99 was none too pleased with the 43 of Joshua Collard and just hooks the 43, and as a result, it hooks himself down into Carson Gum, and then the 99 is going to slide up the racetrack into the driver's side of Dorian Facepuncher and into the front end of James Shelley, and Zachary Fitzwater got a piece of it. So yeah, the 62 and the 71 weren't the cause of the wreck. It was the 99 of Raphael Leduc, who I don't know what his problem was with the 43 of Joshua Collard, but right there, it just looked like he was not happy. Maybe they made contact earlier in the race and we didn't see it. I'm not entirely sure why the 99 was so upset with the 43 to the point where he had to try and wreck him, and he ended up wrecking himself and collecting quite a few other cars that were innocent bystanders in that accident. So, yeah, not sure how to feel about that. But let's go ahead to what could be the final lap here at Dragonett, if it's going to be able to be raced under green or if it's going to end under yellow. We're about to find out now. Well, one car officially done after that wreck, and that was James Shelley, and they just now crossed the line, so they weren't able to get back to racing. And Charles Jackson has just made history. Charles Jackson wins the All-Star race at Dragonett and becomes the first person in Marvel Studios Cup Series history to pull off the All-Star sweep, win the Open, and the All-Star race. Great job by that 00 team. But let's look at the rest of the results. Mark Lane comes through in second. DJ Curtis gets a good run in third. Solid run in fourth for Joshua Sekuli, and then fifth was Charles Sanford. Sixth, David Rivera. Seventh was James Shelley. Eighth, Pichu London. Ninth, Jonathan Zorline, and then 10th, Dylan Thoreau. Rest of the top 20 was Joshua Collard, Johnny Gardner, Dylan Poteet, Zach Flickinger, Carson Gum, Phil Parker, Raphael Leduc, Chris Michaels, Dorian Facepuncher somehow finished, Jessica Shelton, and then the rest of the lead lap cars were Emmanuel Hartnett, Dougie Shears, Ashlyn Boyd, Zachary Fitzwater, Chris Dollarton, JT Bryant. 2 cars a lap down, Dylan Jacobs and Austin LaPlante, and then 2 cars out of the race after the 2 wrecks that happened, James Shelley, Dylan Young, and Andrew Rich. Well, that does it for our coverage for All-Star Break here at Dragonett. Congrats to Charles Jackson for pulling the sweep here at Dragonett. But don't fear, this Monday we return to points racing with the longest race of the season, 60 laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600. But until then, here are your final results of the All-Star race. And until next time, this is Levi McIntyre signing off.